the first show, my first show of 2026, and I'm glad that we're all here. Another year to do it better, bigger. We smartly.
Yeah.
With more money. And as we're talking about money, we're talking also about wealth. And wealth goes beyond just money. And wealth also in health,
Yeah.
Health is everything. You may have the monies, but if you're not healthy, you'll not be able to invest everything in that particular wealth that you're making. So more health. I also want to give it up to the teaching fraternity. We are doing back to school. There's a lot that is happening. And as parents and guardians, often we do not appreciate those who get to teach our children, not just in the academia, but also the co-curricular activities. So big up to all the teachers out there from, primary school all the way to the universities. You do a great job, and most especially those who get to teach our teenagers. Yes, our youth. Because as we're talking, the conversation around, the job spaces now is how does management now change its mode of management in light of the Gen Zs? That's a conversation that we're having. And you see, the society is not going back, Vivian as well as Mike. We are progressive. So we're going to have the Gen Zs already in the job market. Then we're going to be ushering in the Gen Alphas. And we've already certified that their way of thinking and our way of thinking as millennials is quite different. So that is also a question and an area that HR has to really embrace as we move into the years ahead. So teachers who are handling our youth out there, especially the teaching fraternity of Moi Girls is Senior, I have the reception was awesome. It took me back so many years where you have to be frisked, you undo your hair if you have braids, it goes through your braids. I don't know, Mike now and DJ Unique. Did this happen to you, in a boys' school? Maybe you had a different experience, but I'm sure, Vivian, you know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely, you get
so let's hear from Mike.
Frisked,
were you frisked at the entrance of your school?
Not really.
Really?
Not really.
You were never frisked?
No.
Why?
Oh!
No. The only thing we were being checked is if we were wearing socks, because we were
notorious for going.
Oh wow.
Oh wow. And you today, were you frisked? We're told to turn, pull down the tie, the hair you have to untie it. If it's a band, because what was your experience?
For me, since my time being in school, I've never been frisked, because as men, we don't go with a lot of things in school. Like, wewe uko tu na shati yako, vest yako, sasa unafriskiwa nini?
Actually, what used to happen, tulikuwa tunaambiwa tutoe the sweater, because some students used to cut shirts. Hivi. Unaenda sleeveless. So lazima ungetoa sweater. Ndio sasa uonekane kama uko in school uniform.
I think that is the only thing.
That's actually quite interesting, because I thought, from the boys' side would have been even, much stricter. But well, for us, we used to be frisked properly. Like they frisk. I don't know what they were looking for. Unafungua kila kitu. Lazima uangaliwe kabisa. Like, it's quite it was traumatizing. It was quite traumatizing. And from what Regina is saying, they're still doing the same thing. So I think it's for the culture. It is for the culture. So, well, it is okay.
So I made a joke at my girl and in the teaching fraternity. They told them, if by any chance you had an opportunity to go back in time,
Yes.
and God decided to just take me back to school.
All right, Ray, allow us to interject a bit. They need to get to check your mic. But, like if we just try to remember the first day of us going back to school. Can you remember how that felt for you, Mike, when you were going back to school on the first day of returning, especially from the long holiday of December?
Well, it was not usually the best day, because, you are used to sleeping and waking up at at will. Well, not at will, because at home, you know, there are rules to be followed. But then again, it's going back to school. There is that feeling, you're feeling, now my freedom is going to be curtailed. So this is going to be different. But also there was some excitement because you're going to meet your friends who are your classmates. So you get to talk about what the holidays were about, what you did, what happened, things like that. That is what made it a little bit exciting. But to a bigger extent, it was not really a welcome day to a student, so to speak.
Yeah, for sure, because I remember every time when we used to open, you know, for the new term, like that morning for me, it was quite a hard morning. You know, just leaving the house now to go to the boarding school that I was in, it was such a hard one. Yani nilikuwa tu nimekasirika from asubuhi. Like you just feel like, oh boy, now we are back to, you know, we used to call our school prison because the rules that were there. But anyway, schools are good. They get to form the people we are right now. So yeah. Not congratulations, big up to all the teachers, just as Ray was saying, big up to each and every one of you, because you get to make us who we are. How about we get straight now to the news, Regina?
Indeed, thank you for taking us down memory lane. It was very important that we honor those who actually have stood in the place of mentors in the form of teachers who have taught us what we know right now. Imagine not knowing even how to speak, let alone write, but now you can. Let's bring you up to speed with those stories that have been making headlines in the last 12 hours. And we start off with a recap, or rather an update on the South Sea building collapse. Is that the body of the second victim of the South Sea collapse building has been retrieved 3 days after the first was pulled from the rubble. Lands, Public Works and Housing Cabinet Secretary Alice Wahome, who was on site, has warned of total action, or rather tough action, against those who will be found criminally culpable. Here's Giverson Minor with a recap of that particular update.
After a 6-day-long search, the multi-agency team on the site on Wednesday finally retrieved the body of the second victim from the rubble of the collapsed 16-story building in South Sea, Nairobi. The National Disaster Management Unit, working alongside the Disaster Response Battalion of the KDF, Kenya Red Cross, and relevant officials from both the national and the Nairobi County government, had camped on the site for days and nights, combing through stones and construction metals. While on the site, Cabinet Secretaries Alice Wahome, in charge of lands and housing, and Geoffrey Rook of public service and special programs, warned that no stone would be left unturned until the culprits responsible for tragedy are brought to book and set as an example.
There are people who will have to carry the responsibility and the burden of punishment. Ndio wawe tu kama wawe pia funzo, and we know that sometimes the government has said we shall leave no stone unturned. This stone will have to be turned.
The incident site will remain cordoned off and secured to allow for ongoing investigations and other outstanding technical processes.
The Cabinet Secretary is pointing a finger to the Nairobi County government officials who allegedly approved 4 extra floors illegally.
The county did the last nail, put the last nail on the, what do you call it, coffin. They may want to defend them, but that is an area that we shall tell the public what happened. Nasikia kuna mambo hapo ambaye ilifanyika ndio approval ipeanwe.
Leaders from Marsabit County, the home to the 2 victims, led by Governor Mohamud Ali, came out to mourn with the families of the bereaved.
Losing lives year after year through shoddy work is bars which are there, iron rods. They are like wires, are not meant for this kind of a structure. And therefore, one wonders whether the structural engineer and the contractor are actually competent, trained.
Let us give proper attention to all the approvals that are given and putting into consideration the young people of this nation who work in such a place. Right now, the two people who have lost their lives are very young, with very young family.
After a successful retrieval of the body of the second victim of the South Sea collapsed building right behind me, this particular operation has now been closed, and it's up to the investigative agencies to determine who takes the responsibility for the tragedy.
That's a good question, given that the National Construction Authority has also weighed into that particular issue, as well as the Institute of Engineers of Kenya, saying that it is high time that we ensure that the 40% content, local content, is also followed up to allow local engineers to take part in these particular projects that we're seeing, but also to have engineers that are certified working on the building, or rather working in the building and construction sector. Remember, it is anchored by law, but the issue of implementation there put into question. May the souls of the departed rest in peace, while those who are found culpable actually face the full force of the law. Now to matters politics. Mama Ida Odinga, the wife of former late Prime Minister Raila Odinga, has called for a ceasefire and end to hostilities within the ranks of the Orange Democratic Movement in what appears to be her pronounced role in the party's post-Raila's leadership of the ODM party. Mama Ida has called on those leading the party to reflect deeply and sincerely on Raila's dream for the party and the country. This even as a section of the party leadership continued to insist that the party would only back President Ruto's re-election bid.
On behalf of Jacob.
At the current residence of the late former premier, members elected on the party's ticket and other admirers joined family in commemorating what would have been Raila Odinga's 81st birthday. Mourned by many as the beacon of democracy, President William Ruto would be the first to celebrate Raila, even as he called on the country to espouse the values that the late ODM leader lived for.
On behalf of our family, I wish to thank the President of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency William Samoei Ruto, and the entire government of Kenya that mobilized and deployed at the service of Baba and on his death. Mr. President, we saw the hand of friendship. We felt the positive weight of government at your direction, and we are grateful.
The members relishing the memory of their late party leader, whom some had known for their entire political career.
Alikuwa mjumbe wa Nairobi, na ndio kwa sababu tuko hapa kumuenzi na kusema tulipoteza kiongozi wa maana katika taifa letu la Kenya, katika East Africa na Africa na ulimwengu mzima.
Walking through this gate today, Mama, has been quite surreal. It is the first time since I have known this home to come here when Mzo is not here.
On the backdrop of constant bickering and hostility that has rocked the party leadership in recent days,
that would have been the age of Baba today.
The widow Mama Ida Odinga appeared to restore calm, albeit to steady the ship.
Baba ran ODM with dedication. He ran ODM with firm and fair hands. Raila ran ODM on principle of constant consultations.
Mama Ida, while reminiscing on Raila's leadership at the helm of the party, invited those in the leadership of the party for a moment of selfless reflection.
It is my wish that we can preserve the party in his honor as a matter of service to our country.
Another celebration of Raila's remarkable life was being held in Kilifi County, led by Mining Cabinet Secretary Hassan Joho and Mombasa Governor Abdul Samad Nasir, who doubles up as the ODM party leader.
Ukifata sera na siasa ya Raila Amolo Odinga, alikuwa na marafiki na washirika na wafuasi hasa katika jimbo la Pwani chini mashinani.
Governor Nasir led delegates from the Coast region in declaring support for President William Ruto's re-election in the 2027 general elections.
Kama vile nyinyi muko na njia na muko na uhuru wa kuzungumza yale mnaoyataka, na sisi tunawaambia kuweni na uhuru kuyasikiza yale ambayo kwamba ni yetu. Kiwa chama cha ODM hakitapewa Ali Hassan Joho, sisi wa Coast, we have to champion another political pathway.
CS Joho also came to the defense of the ODM Director of Elections and Minority Leader Junet Mohammed over claims of the disappearance of 500 million shillings meant to pay party agents in the 2022 general elections.
Sisi hatukuwa wafuasi tu wa Raila Odinga. Sisi tulikuwa washirika muhimu wa Raila Amolo Odinga. Sisi tulikuwa washirika muhimu sana.
Well, on that note, we take a quick breather, but when we're back, we're going to be looking at what is happening in the political scene. This is In the Headlines on Good Morning Kenya. We'll be right back.
I can't go on fooling myself. What I want most in this world is to marry you and be your wife.
What do you want? Are you going to reproach me again? I already told you that I'm going to do even the impossible.
Don't you realize that it's humiliating to be begging all the time? Especially now that Lucia is back with him.
What are you talking about? Did she tell you that?
They're looking for Mr. Rodrigo.
Who? Excuse us for interrupting, but we have with us an arrest warrant for Rodrigo Zúñiga. A warrant for me?
Why is that?
For the murder of Miss Ligia Cervantes.
Usilie, ewe mwanadamu, usihadaike.
Mtu akitoa chafya akasema alhamdulillah, basi mtume anafundisha, wewe umemsikia, unamwambia ya rahmakallah, na yeye anajibu ya hadiyaka Allah wa yuslihu balaka. Haya ni mafundisho ya bwana mtume sallallahu alayhi wasallam.
Hapo ndio tunapata funzo kwamba kiongozi hapaswi kupuuza rai za watu wake. Hata kama wewe ni kiongozi, pendelea kusikiza rai za watu.
فتكون جبال كالإحم المنفوش فأما من ثقلت موازينه
Are you a talented artist? Or are you passionate about a topic you want to discuss? But money can be very hard to find for an upcoming artist. Don't worry, Studio Mashinani has got your back. Sign up on ajira.co.ke to book a session with your music and video producers across the country. Work on your music, jingles, spoken words, and even podcasts to realize your dream, all for free. Studio Mashinani, Radani Talent.
Well, this is In the Headlines. Welcome back. We're bringing you up to speed with all stories that have been making headlines locally as well as globally. Now we focus on matters politics. Just but a mention is that the DCP party leader, Rigathi Gachagua, has defended his recent statements asserting that a certain mall in Italy was built using proceeds from corruption and money laundering syndicates exposed in Minnesota in the United States. Gachagua clarified that he never mentioned any specific mall in his remarks. His remarks came after owners of Business Bay Square Mall in Eastleigh petitioned NCIC to take up the matter. This is a report that you can get further details on our website, that is www.kbc.co.ke. And still keeping up with matters politics is that a section of leaders allied to the United Opposition are expressing their waning confidence in the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission's capability to conduct free and fair elections in 2027. Speaking in Kipipiri, Manyara County, the leaders led by Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka and DAPK's Eugene Wamalwa accused the commission of a plot to use smart maniac. What is that? Let me take that again. Smart systems to manipulate the elections in favor of President William Ruto. Here's Marco Tilio with the details.
The United Opposition Brigade led by Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, DAPK leader Eugene Wamalwa and Justin Muturi of DP were in Kipipiri to attend the funeral service of John Njoroge, the father of Kipipiri legislator Wanjiku Muya. They expressed their lack of confidence in the electoral body to conduct a free and fair elections in 2027.
Juzi tumekuwa na by-elections na tumepata ya kwamba the new team ya IEBC walikuwa na mtihani kidogo. Uchaguzi mdogo pale Malava, uchaguzi mdogo kule Mbere, and they failed miserably. Walikuwa na nafasi nzuri kuonyesha wa Kenya ya kwamba they can be independent.
Weekend ya tarehe 5 na tarehe 6 ilikuwa Saturday and Sunday mwezi wa 7 mwaka huu umepita. Jose Kamago na Hussein Marijan walikuwa nafanya nini State House the whole weekend?
They called for reforms in the commission, faulting the Smartmatic system as lacking in credibility and demanded for the termination of its contract.
Local partner wa hii Smartmatic tumegundua alikuwa ule mtu anaitwa sijui Abdullahi. That was just a front. One of those commissioners ndiye alikuwa local partner. Na ndio sababu imeongezewa muda.
Meanwhile, a section of the UDA legislators in Kirinyaga County have dismissed calls to ditch the party, maintaining that the region will remain firmly in government to secure development and to protect the interests of its people.
Sisi tunataka kukaa mahali serikali iko, mahali kuna policies zenye ziko clear, mahali kuna direction, mahali kuna vision, mahali kuna hope, mahali kuna kazi, na mahali kuko na maendeleo ya watu wetu.
Led by UDA County Coordinator and dear Member of Parliament George Kariuki, the leaders call on the area residents to remain united and loyal to the party, emphasizing that President William Ruto remains the only leader with a clear national vision.
Well, we continue keeping tabs on what is happening on the political scene and bring you up to speed. Now, Ndongo village in Gatundu North, Kiambu County is yet to come to terms with the loss of a catechist, his spouse, and their 2 young children who perished in a road crash in Karai area, Naivasha, early this week. The deceased catechist, James Njoroge, is reported to have been driving his wife back to Gilgil, where she worked as a primary school teacher when the tragedy struck. Meanwhile, the National Police Service says it will mount targeted countries' black spots across the country to actually try and stem the current fatal accidents. Here's a report.
Asomba Mood and Gulf Ndungu village in Gatundu North, Kiambu County, following the passing of James Njoroge Kabari, a catechist at St. Mary Catholic Church in Ridgeways, who perished alongside his wife Teresia Wanjiru and their 2 sons, Michael Kabari, aged 6, and 1-year-old John Mark Kabui.
Hiyo habari mwasia ya Njoroge tulipokea na tukasikia tukiwa na huzuni sana, kwa sababu huyo mtoto Njoroge alikuwa mtoto wetu, mtoto tunampenda sana. Hata huyo mke yake tulikuwa tunampenda sana, hata hiyo watoto yake.
The fatal accident occurred in Karai area, Naivasha. Their deaths have left a deep void, particularly for Njoroge's elderly parents, who depended heavily on him.
Hadi hiyo mtoto yangu alienda, tulikuwa tunagana vizuri sana. Anagana na mama yake, tunagana na yeye, anasema atatuletea vitu vya kusaidia sisi kama vile alikuwa anafanya kitambo. Mimi hapa nawaambia nyinyi, nilikuwa simalizi hata wiki 2 bila hospitali. Ikiwa ni Gatundu, ikiwa ni Keyu, ikiwa ni wapi, ikiwa ni Germany, kule Kenyatta, ilishapelekwa huko na Njoroge.
And as preparation for their burial begin, the family is appealing to well-wishers for support, noting that the scale of the tragedy is overwhelming and beyond their current means.
Kwa wahisani wema wale wanaweza kujitolea watusaidie kwa kuwapumzisha, kwa vile kupumzisha watu 4 familia moja ni kazi gumu.
The deceased are survived by their daughter Claire Wairimu, who narrowly escaped death and is currently hospitalized at Nairobi West Hospital, Naivasha branch. Meanwhile, National Police Service has rolled out enforcement measures to curb the increasing cases of road accidents that have been witnessed since the beginning of the new year. Targeted operations will be enhanced in the country's black spots. All motorists and road users have also been urged to be vigilant, as emphasis is placed on speeding, drunk driving, unroadworthy vehicles and PSV compliance, and an intensification of breathalyzers test.
As a motorist as well as a pedestrian, you are encouraged to adhere to road use safety guidelines. Now, to matters education, schools at Gitwembe and Angata Birikoi along the Narok-Migori Road remain closed following a long-running land dispute that has fueled tension in the area. Parents, learners and teachers say they now find themselves torn between schooling and guarding their homes to prevent frequent attacks that have intensified along the border area. Timothy Kipnusu now reports.
Three days since schools reopened for the first time, learners in Gitwembe and Angata Barakoi along the Narok-Migori border are yet to set their foot in their classrooms. Heavy presence of police in patrol is what welcomes one here. Border town remains deserted. In the recent flare-ups in the area, 7 people were left dead and 1,000 displaced.
Waume zetu wanauawa kama juzi mume wangu aliuawa, sina amani. Na serikali ipo kesho na kesho kutwa, serikali inakuja tu wanataka kura. Kama wamemaliza makura zote tutapeana nini?
Unajua wakati marisasi inapigwa hapa Ichameni hakuna kujali kwamba ile ni shule wala ile ni nini. Marisasi inalia kila mahali.
One of the elders here narrates to us how he was attacked and shot by armed gangs. He says the situation still remains dire.
Kwa sababu kama mimi wamenipiga risasi, huyu DC alituma askari akakuja akanipiga risasi kwa tumbo hapa. Ndio hii alama mahali iliingia, akacross hivi, hii ni operation nilifanywa hapa. Na risasi nyingine walinipiga kwa mkono, ndio hii hapa.
Classrooms that should be filled with pupils and hosting lessons in the new calendar here are deserted.
Inauma sana. Yaani unaona madarasa kama hivyo wanafunzi wako, madaktari tutatoa wapi? Wanafunzi ndio tunategemea wakuwe madaktari, walimu wafunze watu. Mkipenda mtusaidie, unaona maklasi kama hizi ziko empty. Hakuna na tunategemea wanafunzi wataingia lini.
Men could be seen armed with arrows to protect themselves and their property.
Watoto wametoroka. Wengine wametorokea kwa jamii zao Tanzania, wengine wako hapa Kenya. Hawa watoto wataenda shuleni kwa sababu pia wengi wao wameweza kujihami ili waweze kulinda maboma yao ama waweze kulinda, kwa sababu marisasi yanalia kutoka asubuhi mpaka jioni.
Parents, learners and teachers say they now find themselves torn between schooling and guarding their homes to prevent frequent attacks that have intensified along the border area.
Sahi walimu wetu wangekuwa wamekuja kwa sababu wanatoka sehemu mbalimbali wanakuja. Lakini sahi hakuna walimu hapa.
wameokopa kwa sababu ya Peter. Amani imekosa. Serikali tusaidieni jamani, kwani sisi si wa Kenya.
The residents are calling on government agencies to urgently intervene and find a lasting solution to the conflict.
Tunauma kwa sababu watoto wetu wanakaa nyumbani na sasa watoto wengine wanaendelea masomo shuleni. Na sio wakati ya raundi moja, kila wakati, kila wiki, kila mwezi. Shida hiyo haimaliziki. Marisasi inapigwa hapa usiku mchana.
And those students and in field when it comes to education, something needs to be done in as far as peace building is concerned in that particular area. We hope that the authorities get to do something about it. Now to sports. The National Olympic Committee of Kenya has launched a new athlete sponsorship program aimed at ensuring Kenyan athletes are fully supported on their road to the Olympics. 8 athletes have already been selected for the first program, and they include, among others, tennis sensation Angela Okutoi, Africa fencing champion Alexandra Ndolo, and Africa beach wrestling bronze medalist Makaliba Matayo Matonya. They will benefit from a structured financial and technical support covering training, competition exposure, and athlete welfare as Kenya starts her preparation for the Los Angeles 2028 Olympic Games.
In a move designed to eliminate financial and structural barriers to Olympic success, National Olympics Committee of Kenya has officially launched the Individual Athlete Scholarship Program, a targeted sponsorship initiative under the International Olympics Committee's Olympic Solidarity Framework. Speaking during the launch, National Olympics of Kenya President Shadrack Maluki emphasized that while Kenya has never lacked talent, modern Olympic success now requires a deliberate investment, early planning, and sustained support.
And these scholarships mean a lot to these athletes because they pave the way to the pathway program to the LA 2028. These scholarships will be supporting individual athletes to practice, to ensure that the requirements or whatever they need in terms of financial support it's provided by NOC.
The scholarships are meant to ensure athletes no longer rely on chance, personal sacrifice, or last-minute preparations to compete at the highest level. 8 athletes have been selected as the first beneficiaries of the sponsorship program. They include Angela Okutoi, Priscilla Wangoi, Joshua Amonga Mboya, Juliana Anyango Ongonga, Haniel Maindi, Alexander Ndolo, Mahabila Matayo, and Sarah Faustina Mose.
I know this scholarship is going to help me towards preparation to LA 2028, and I'm really going to work hard to qualify this time and to bring medals as well. So my preparation as of now has started, and I have a tournament now as we speak. So I'm really trying to improve my ranking points, to see myself qualify with the ranking and not being able to go to All African Games. But I'm just happy, and thank you again.
With Los Angeles 2028 now firmly in focus, NOC says the scholarship program marks the beginning of a new era of structured Olympics preparations, one designed to ensure Team Kenya arrives at the Games confident, competitive, and fully supported.
KBC.co.ke for further details on information cutting across sports, business, as well as what is happening in the global scene. We know we're also keeping tabs on developments between the United States of America as well as Venezuela there, with reports coming in indicated that the United States of America has waylaid a Russia-bound Venezuelan oil tanker over the seas there. We're going to be keeping tabs on that to just look at what that means then in as far as geopolitics is concerned. I'm Regina Manyara. I want to hand you over to Mike Megwe for the next conversation, especially when he looks at governance, leadership, as well as the place of the youth in this particular spectrum, especially when it comes to matters of politics and leadership.